morning, students. Today we will be discussing on report writing, most particularly individual and committee reports. You know, in the business world, communication, formal or informal, is very vital. Formal and informal communication, they form the baseline of the business. Report writing essentially is a document that is logically presented through facts, figures, data, the analysis of the information in the form of a document which is written to investigate, present, analyze the information that suits various objectives. Reports are written to suit various objectives. On the basis of objectives, the types of reports can be routine reports and special reports. Now, if we move on to the next slide, you will see the different kinds of routine reports. Routine reports are those reports that are written to suit the day-to-day official organizational work. These reports can be the progress reports, that is, which focus on the reports of a work that has been carried out during a period of time. The report can be inspection report if there is an engineering site and the progress and the inspection of the site is going on, then the authority submits an inspection report. The performance report, that can also be termed as appraisal report if they are suited to the performance of an individual. Then we have periodic report, that is annual report, monthly report, half-yearly report of the organization. Now we move on to the special reports. The most common of the special reports are first information report that we see in investigative report. Investigative report focuses on a particular problem or an issue. For example, if there is an unrest, workers' unrest in an organization, then an authority will be taking care of that issue, probing the issue deep, focusing on the causes of the unrest, and then bringing about the recommendations so that the problem may be resolved. Then we have feasibility report, the probability report, which is written before the starting of a manufacturing unit or the launching of a product, or it can be also a survey report if an individual initiates a manufacturing unit. He focuses on the kind of raw material required, the resources required, the funds required, the expenses, and submits a feasibility report. Then we have the project report. For example, as students, you are given different assignments, and on those assignments you submit your project reports. Please note that each of the report has a different structure. Now we move on to the kinds of reports on the basis of the members. If there is only one individual involved in the entire process of report writing, then that report is individual report. If the report is being submitted by a committee, that is, there is a chairperson of the committee and the group members working in coordination with the chairperson, then the report is committee report. Now we move on to the next slide, where you will come across the differences between individual and the committee report. These differences will help you understand the two different types of report, not only in terms of their structure, in terms of their presentation, but also in terms of the style in which they are drafted. As the slide shows, individual report is written by one person, and you already know that the committee report is submitted by a group of people, that is the members. Individual report can be written in the letter format as well as the schematic format. We will be discussing the schematic format in the coming slides. Whereas the main difference is that committee report is always presented in the schematic form. Please note the difference that individual report can be written in the letter or the schematic form, whereas the committee report is always written in the schematic form. When we come to the style, an individual report is written in the personal style, as the use of the first person pronoun I is there. In an impersonal style, we avoid the usage of the first person pronoun and try to be impersonal. The another difference that is quite vital is that individual report can be written in active as well as passive voice. The construction of the sentences can be both in the active as well as the passive voice, including the third form of the main verb. Whereas the committee report witnesses sentences constructed mostly in passive voice. These are the major differences that will help you strike out the two types of reports, that is individual as well as the committee report. Now we move on to the jitters that obstruct the approach of writing a report. These jitters can be related to the style, related to the structure, related to the language usage. Now, if we want to write and document an effective report that suits the purpose, and I want my students to please remember that report writing is an instrument in decision making. The suggestions and recommendations that are provided in the report help the authorities, as it is an example of upward communication, to draft and take the decision that suits the need and the time. So, what is most important is that the report writer should determine the purpose of report. Now, in order to focus on the purpose of the report writer should basically analyze the audience, that is, who is the receiver of your report, whether the receiver belongs to the same field or the same department, or the audience or the receiver belongs to another field, another stream, which can be technical, or the receiver can be even a layman. So, an efficient and effective report writer always drafts the report keeping in mind the audience. Now we move on to the structure of the report. The structure of the report can be understood in the two different formats, as it is clear on the slide. Please pay attention to the slide. On your left hand side, first you will find one structure that focuses on abstract, introduction, methodology, findings, discussions, conclusion, recommendations, references, and appendices. This particular structure suits the schematic form of report, that is the committee report. Now on the right hand side, you'll find another structure, another format of the schematic report which is prevalent, that includes title, abstract or terms of reference, introduction as well as objective, procedure of gathering information, methodology, findings and analysis based on the information gathered through different sources, that is primary and the secondary sources, conclusion, which is again based on the findings and analysis, recommendations provided by the report writer to resolve, overcome an issue or take proper decision. Then references. The report writer provides the list of the books or the websites or the source of information through which the writer has gathered the particular information. Then we move on to the appendices. Appendices may have tables, charts, Venn diagrams and other graphic pictures that help in understanding the information, simplifying the information in a very calculative manner. We move on to the next slide. Now we'll see step by step how to write a schematic report. The first slide that you see now as a part of the structure is the title of the report. Now see the title. The title of a committee report goes on as the sample is there. This title focuses on the report of a committee appointed to investigate the decline of sales in Gujarat between January and June 2010. That means the title includes the objective of the report, the problem or the issue that was dealt with, and the duration as well as the area. In the individual report, in place of title, there is the subject line. So the title can be modified into the subject line, which goes as Decline in sales of cars in Gujarat between January and June 2010. This is the major difference between individual and committee report. There is no title for the individual report as the title gets accommodated in the subject line, but in the schematic or the committee report, we have the title of the report. Now we move on to our next slide, that is the abstract or the terms of reference. Now the question might be arising in your mind, how to write an abstract or what is this term of reference? Abstract is generally an overview of the entire report. An abstract includes the details of the assignment as well as the aims and the objectives for which you are writing the report, and your report will help in taking a decision. Then, another aspect that is covered in abstract is the purpose and the scope of the study. Here, you can also limit the report. That is, whether your report is focusing on the sales of car in Baroda, that is one city, or you are covering 3 or 4 cities, or whether you are covering the entire state of Gujarat. When we come to the terms of reference generally answers the questions who asked whom to write the report and when is the report writer submitting the report. So the terms of reference may include a resolution which gives authority to the report writer to take the probe and investigate the issue. Now, one thing that the students need to take care of is the usage of present tense to outline the problem and the aims as well as the terms of reference. Now, we move on to the next slide, which focuses on the methodology and the procedure. Here, the methodology that you need to adopt is the methodology of gathering information. The students need to take care of the primary and the secondary sources of information that you have approached to gather the relevant information. Now, these sources can be in organizational records, reference books, which are definitely the secondary sources of information. The report writer may interview the informants, may administer questionnaires, take the samples so that the information is primary and authentic. The report writer may also visit and personally inspect the suitable places. For example, if you are writing a report on the decline of sales during the last 2 years in Gujarat, then you will visit the company and the branches of that outlet across Gujarat and collect the information regarding the sale of a particular car during the first year, that is 2005 or 2006, and then move on to the second year. So, visits, personal inspection, interviews of the people available at the locations that provide you the primary information which you may utilize to analyze, and on the basis of the information gathered, you frame your recommendations. Now, for language usage in methodology and the procedure section, please take care that you use past tense, as when you are submitting the report, you have already taken care of gathering information. So, that is now past. So, please focus on the past tense. Another important aspect of language is the usage of impersonal structures. Avoid using first person pronoun, and if you write your sentences in passive voice,